in Chinese is 通货紧缩。Okay, or is to feel money, chasing relative to many goods. Okay, so the goods is oversupplied. Okay, the money is so limited. Okay, so the goods tend to decline the price. Tend to decline. So as a consumer, what is your behavior? You tend to wait. Okay, wait until they give you discount. You defer. Or defer purchase. Wait or defer the purchase. And then they will go bankrupt. Okay, because you wait, you don't buy. Okay, so they have to close the door. Okay, so then the feature, okay, the characteristic of this deflation is called, you want to hold the money. You want to hold your money because you want to wait. You want to hold the money as long as possible because the money getting more worthy. So you heard of cash is king, right? Heard of this term, cash is king, because you want to, money is more valuable. Okay, so this is inflation. That was inflation. So of course we will talk about the causes of the inflation, and I will also come back to this. Why there was a deflation? So before, so that was 2008, right? And the deflation, the worldwide deflation, was like during 1997 to 2002. I will show you a figure, okay, relating inflation and deflation to the gold price later. So this time we talk about the gold price, right? So you will have a very clear impression about how the gold price is affected by inflation and the driving force. Okay, that was between 1997 to 2002. And of course, for Japan, it was even earlier. Japan started from 1990. okay, because Japan went through a bubble economy from like the 60, okay, over 70 and 80, so reached the peak in the 1980s. And then they started to the economy started to weaken, okay, to diminish the driving force after 1990, okay, especially after the Japanese yen appreciated in 1985. The Plaza Accord, so that the Japanese yen appreciated by 80%. So this Japan will be another story. Okay, I will come back to Japan story, but let me address for the worldwide inflation and why they printed the money in 2009 or the QE policy, but didn't cause the inflation. On the contrary, it was the depression. Okay, so I have to introduce the Fisher equation. Which is MV equals PP, or you can use PY. Okay, so this is the output, aggregate output. Okay, so the change of the output is economic growth. All right, and the P is price or inflation. Okay, V is velocity of money flow, which implies for consumption. Right? You spend your money. This is consumption. This is the money flow. And M is money supply. Alright? So, for example, in Taiwan or for some countries with high economic growth, say in 1985, 86 to 90. The economic growth was over like 10 digits, 2 digits, like 10%. Okay, so at that time, so we look at this equation. The economic growth went up first. The economic growth went up first. Okay, then in this equation, could let you to increase the money supply proportionally. Okay, you had the Taiwan had the economic growth first, then in this equation, could let the central bank raise the money supply without changing the velocity or the prices. Say, anytime Taiwan produced 100 units of this mug, okay? First, then Taiwan could print extra like $100,000 Taiwan dollar without hurting the price or consumer's price because it's proportional. Okay? But outside of this equation, where do the money will go? Where the money go? The money will go to, after its printing, will go to asset price. Which is stock. Which is stock or real estate or others. So at that time, during that period, stock price, stock index from 2,000 points to 12,000. Amazing. And real estate triple. The price triple. Times 3. You write down this. It's okay. 涨了3倍. Okay. So you cannot call it as a bubble because we had a fundamental rise of the economic growth of the increase of the income. So we can call it a healthy increase. Okay. However, after 2008, QE policy. So let me erase it. We will come back to why too many goods. Okay. 2009. This was after subprime mortgage crisis. The economy was in the trouble, okay, because of the financial crisis. Okay, the economy was in the big trouble. So the Fed or other countries' central bank, they tend to use the money supply, raise the money supply or the QE policy. Here, first, to rescue, to lift up economy. But did it work? This is a problem. This is a problem. So this article is about the question. She's trying to answer the question. Did it work? Not really, right? We didn't see a obvious surge of the economy after the QE. Okay? Then if not, what happened to this equation? Did it cause inflation? Right? Did it cause the inflation? It caused the price to increase? According to the theory, you print the money, the price tends to increase. This is the basic idea of the inflation. Holding out as constant. But the result was no. It's beyond all the economists' expectation. To our surprise, it didn't. Hey, so every time it's different. No. Then what happened? How come where did the money go? Did it imply the velocity of consumption decline to offset this increase of the money supply? And on the right side is making no change. Right? So this is the article. This article is about this. The velocity of consumption declined because of the money increase. This is contradictory. But how come? So no matter what, so we found it. The velocity declined. Okay, so why is it? Because the money still goes up. The money still goes out of this equation to outside to asset price. Stock and real estate. Stock or real estate. For stock, which is fine, but for real estate, it's a lot of trouble because there is no fundamental. So the real estate increase tend to raise the future mortgage payment to price increase. Because as we said, I only have one house. Next week, remember, okay, for household with over 2 houses, the percentage only 8% in Taiwan. But for one house or no house, accounts for 92%. Okay, for one house owner, I will not sell my house for more purchase, for more consumption. No. Because it's just a paper, it's just a nominal. I can realize I can sell my house. For those no house people, no household in the future, their mortgage payment increased if they buy the house. And their consumption is going to crowd away their consumption. Which proved to this equation. Which proves to this equation. Okay? So, why there was a debt, the phenomenon of the debt of inflation or deflation. First is the even though the house price increased, but in the future people's mortgage burden getting heavier. First, second. This is first effect. Why? Why is this on? Second, the money supply increased, right? And then the interest rate declined. This is money supply increase. So this is the monetary policy had two forms. One form is print money, okay, QE. So QE1 and QE2. Okay, that means how much money the Fed to purchase banking industry's assets. They print the money. It didn't really work. Okay, QE1 and QE2. So let's make it clear, right? QE1 and QE2. The Fed to purchase bank assets. That means their mortgages, their MBS, their bonds. Or to liquidate their assets. Okay, to provide liquidity to their assets. That means the Fed gives money to the banking industry, and then in return they get the assets to the Fed. However, it didn't revitalize the confidence of the banking industry to make loans, because the economy was still dead in the beginning of the 2009 and the 10. Okay, the banking industry was afraid. So the Fed launched another QE, which is QE3. So what is QE3? Anybody know? So QE3, what is QE3? Lower the rediscount rate. To how much? To almost free. Just a quarter. We cannot say free because, hey, this is business. Even though it's policy, I cannot just give you free money. So, give me some symbolic cost, a quarter. Okay, so that means they can just lend out for 2% and then making a profit of 175, which is a good deal. So after QE3, the economy started to pump up. Hey, they had the incentive. I do it. Okay. So the second form is the decrease of the interest rate. So how does it hurt? Hey, the decline of the interest rate tends to encourage the industry to manufacture, make productions, okay, to investment, which might be true, but for a lot of people, they already lost the confidence, especially for retired people. They do not have extra constant income. They only rely on their pensions. And a lot of their money are deposited in the banking system. They are making their living by the interest earning. So if you reduce the interest rate, that means their interest earned reduced. Okay, so they might cut their consumption even deeper, right? So this also caused the consumption to decline. So this is it. So two forms of the effect. One is the mortgage payment increase, or the second is the cut for the retired people. The retired people to cut their consumption. Okay. So this is why the inflation, they call it the dog that doesn't bark, because it's so invisible. Okay, and then that is might cause the vicious cycle, because the definition of the deflation is too few goods, too much goods, right? Too few money. Okay, too little money. Okay, and if you don't purchase, if you defer your consumption, the factory go bankrupt. Okay, they got unemployed. Okay, the working force got unemployed. Okay, they might be your family. Okay, they got unemployed, they don't have the salary. So going back to the original is too little money. They don't have the salary. So it might become a vicious cycle. Alright? So now let's go back to this figure. So please zoom this. So zoom this figure. This is called the Philip curve. Alright? Also very interesting phenomenon. So this is called inflation, the vertical axis. And that is unemployment. Okay, so it's called. Okay, Philip, in the 70s, he found the relation between these two items. Okay, here. Okay, he used core inflation versus the unemployment. Okay, he found is a opposite relation, negative relation, and which is pretty vertical. Okay, that means, hey, if you pump up the inflation, or if you print the money, people plan to consume, then it's going to reduce the unemployment. Right? It's pretty vertical. 70s. However, in the current in this era, okay, after year 2000, we found, even though they are also negatively related, but the slope was very flattened. That means if you keep printing money, it doesn't work. It didn't work that well, like 30 years ago, right? So that means you cannot just use the monetary policy trying to reduce or rescue the unemployment. Why is that? So of course, this article pointed out this phenomenon, but we have to discuss why the curve flattened. This is the interesting part. So I like this article. So if you understand all the visual equation as I mentioned to you, as I introduced to you, you cannot fully understand what all this article is about. But this is the question that we have to understand the world, the current world now. So my question is, why the curve flattened? Or the relation in 2000, year 2000. Here. Why? Open discussion. Hey, you guys, in quarantine, I need your participation too. You see my point, Sheila.
Yes.
You see my question?
No, I was about to ask for that why the, and then I can't see the rest of the question. You said it's an open discussion.
Yes, okay. You my question. Let me repeat my question. Did you see the board or did you see the screen?
I see the screen.
You see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, back in 1970s, the relation between inflation and unemployment was very steep, negatively, very steep, right? Here.
Yes.
Okay, but in the 2000s, it's flattened. So back in 90s, back in 70s, that means if you use the monetary policy or if you print the money, whatever, hey, people might consume, okay, and then might reduce unemployment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, why now it's not that didn't work that well?
Why is it now? Sorry, I didn't hear the last part. Why
it's not working that well in 2000, year 2000, or even now? So this is all this article about too.
Mm-hmm.
Cora, you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, I'm here, but I'm still thinking.
Okay,
the answer.
No problem. This is open discussion. If you understand, let me know or raise your hand. Just feel free to speak. Anyone? It's not just the finance, not just the, but has to do world enterprise. You guys wear clothes made the brand of Zara, right? Everybody knows Zara, right? Where is Zara? Which country is from Zara? Spain, right? Shida, you wear Zara?
If I know who?
You wear clothes Zara. Zara.
No.
You don't wear Zara.
Oh, if I
Is
wear
that-
Zara, the
Yeah,
brand?
do you wear Zara? The clothes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. Where is Zara? Which country is Zara?
Spain.
Spain. But have you found the Zara made in Spain?
Yes, I have actually.
You have clothes Zara made in Spain?
Yes, made in Spain and made in Morocco mainly.
Oh, it's very rare, right? Most of
I
the
think-
time, I found Zara product not made in Spain.
I mean, I think it depends because also I've been to Zara in different countries and then it just looks different.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
But a lot of things I think in Europe that are sold by Zara are made in Morocco. Sometimes it's Spain, but I think like accessories like shoes and stuff are made in Spain.
Maybe
and
very
clothing.
very
Yes.
expensive or luxurious goods product. A lot of them are made outside of the Spain. Or for another example is Toyota.
What?
You all drive Toyota, right? Lots of countries that drive Toyota. Is the Toyota car all made in Japan?
Probably not.
No. Like in Taiwan, a lot of taxis, their brand is Wish. The brand of the car is called Wish. Of course, it's Toyota. But it's not made in Japan. Maybe some part. But the part, in Taiwan, we tax the car with 40% of the part made in Taiwan. We call it local car. We tax local tax rate. Even though it's Toyota, but we call it a domestic car, or we tax as a domestic tax rate, lower rate. What does it mean? That means even though Japan launched a new plan to attract Japanese industry to go back to Japan to invest, they will not necessarily go back. Toyota will not necessarily go back. Even though the Japanese tend to depreciate the yen for exporting, Toyota says, we are now global enterprise. Our income is calculated by the aggregate sales of different currencies. Okay? If you depreciate the Japanese yen, even though we can increase our sale, but then we lose our aggregate earning because you depreciated the yen. So the international investment explain the flatten of this pretty curve. No matter what kind of the incentive you provide, okay, in the local, in the domestic policy, you cannot beat their international allocation or international tax incentive or international diversification. So this is the reason. This is the reason. Okay, so the government cannot always just use the monetary policy trying to deal with the economic problem. Okay, this is the article is about. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. Let's look at one more. Okay, any question about this article or what I've been addressing this class? Anyone? So remember of course, the Willis curve, the effect, why it changed the slope, plus the Fisher equation. Okay. So there is another question: is why there was a worldwide differential here between 2009 and 2002. 1997 to 2002. Worldwide differential. And the Japan started from 1990. So remember this question. Okay, we will also come back to this. Remember for me. Okay, why there was an deflation trend during 1997 and 2002. Okay. Why was it? Because, as I said, we wanna look at the historical financial event or financial history. Okay, then in the future, if similar factor occur, we can make prediction. We can make projection that something might happen again, and then we can do the we can make the investment decision earlier than the market, earlier than other participation. Okay. So the Japan, as I said, they started from 1985, which is the Plaza Accord, the deflation. They started from 1990, sorry. But the Plaza Accord was 1985. Forced the Japanese yen to appreciate by 80%. Okay, so this also caused the following bubble of the Japanese real estate. Okay, because too much money flowing into Japanese yen, because they expect the Japanese yen to appreciate for those international, we call it hot money. Hot money is just for speculation. So Japanese yen appreciate, And according to this, MV equals PP. Because they had they had the output before, so they can print a lot of money. And printed too much money, too much, to cope with the hot money caused by this, by the plaza point. So those hot money to change Japanese yen. Okay, for example, Taiwan dollar. Hey, I know Japanese yen is going to appreciate by 30%. Of course, I don't know how much, but they, according to this, when Japan agreed. So, hey, I wanna switch. I wanna exchange 1 million Taiwan dollar. Because in the future I can travel Japan. Okay, so they printed too much money to cope with, in order to cope with the international hot money, and then similar effect occurred. Real estate. So real estate bubble, then just like we discussed, the Hengda Evergrande collapsed. It's the end they collapsed. So they collapsed. So they enter a long term of the depression. From 1990. This is the story of Japan. Of course, we can also come back. So up to now, the commercial land price of Japan is just 20% of 1980s. The current commercial land price in Japan is just 20% of their land price in 1980s. 20%, 1/5 commercial land price. For residential land price is probably 1/3 to half, which is unbelievable. People always believe the land price continue to rise, right? But especially Japan, they expect that land will not diminish. 土地不灭. Not just the tangible assets not to diminish, but also the price. So they are very brave to lend out money as long as you have the collateral as the real estate. Okay, but today this is the aftermath. Okay, now you understand. Commercial land price is 1/5 of their peak. Residential land is 1/3 or half of their peak. The peak is 1980s. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. We'll look at two more articles.